Joined by Mr. Gopal Mahadevan, the Chief Financial Officer of the company. Hi, Mr. Mahadevan. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in today. Well, the biggest problem really is the gross margin fall. Do you expect pressure on the margins? Will it sustain in quarter 4 as well?
I believe so. I think our margin should be better in Q4 because we are the only commercial vehicle manufacturer in India to take a pretty healthy increase. We increased prices quite significantly in January, and you're right that there has been pressure on the raw material cost, and discounting has been pretty high, prevalent in the industry, even though we try to stay away from it as much as possible. But having said that, I think what I would like to highlight you is if I were to just step back and look at the performance of Ashok Leyland, it has been a pretty good quarter. It has been a pretty satisfactory quarter for us. In terms of Q3, this is the highest sales that we have ever achieved in the history of the company, the highest volumes, the highest manufacturing quantity that we have done, the highest manufacturing in Pantnagar, and also if you were to look at it, the highest PBT and PAT in absolute terms. If you were to remove the exceptional item of mark-to-market foreign currency fluctuation, we actually see a PAT growth of nearly 15%. But this is not to state that our EBITDA margins are slightly lower. Yes, they are about 0.6% lower. But given the fact that we have had such steep prices in raw material, as well as we have not been able to pass this on in the third quarter because of demonetization. We have actually seen a quarter which had been a lot more turbulent than expected because of the effects of demonetization. So I would say that if I were to step back and look at it, it has been a pretty decent quarter for Ashok Leyland.
So we take your point that, yes, indeed, commodity prices have gone up, which is what's hurt the margins reported by Ashok Leyland. But has the average level of discounting also gone up? And if you could give us some numbers.
Yeah, I think the discounting this quarter was up by at least about 35,000 rupees. So they were now in the range of almost 3 lakh of rupees per vehicle. Typically, the discounting was at about 250, but this quarter saw quite a steep rise in discounting.
Well, sir, the big problem really has to be demand. So I want to ask you, has there been a return to normalcy in terms of demand?
The demonetization is not particular to Ashok Leyland at all. I mean, let me clarify. It is a larger economy issue. And I think this was felt all through the economy. But what we're seeing happening at the ground level is that things are thawing a bit. Demand seems to be returning back. People are getting used to, the revised dispensation. And we are positive that we are going to see quite a bit of pre-buy in Q4, because Euro 4 norms, emission norms are going to be effective 1st of April. So we did actually produce, and our production is actually scheduling for the demand upsurge that we may possibly see especially in February and March.
Okay, so you are expecting pre-buying to kick in Q4. So if you could help us with some numbers, then what could be the volume growth by the end of the year?
It's going to be a very difficult question to answer because we'll have to wait and watch for the February and March numbers. January seems to be pretty stable. It feels much better than even December, but November was a complete washout. I would say that the growth in Q4 should be far better than what we have seen in the past 3 quarters. But let's wait and watch and hope for the best.
Well, Mr. Mahadevan, can you throw some more color then on the entire recovery process that you're leading to? Has the capacity utilization levels improved? Have freight rates gone up? Has the health basically of truck operators improved?
Freight rates have not gone back up. In fact, one of the things that we keep monitoring is actually the gradual increase in fuel prices, which actually has a direct effect on the economics of the truck operators. But what we have seen now is, you see, there was such a vacuum when the entire cash got sucked out of the system, because all said and done, the trucking industry, the freight industry actually does a lot of business in cash, be it, for diesel, for wages, or for any of the repairs. So when cash was out of the system, physically operating a truck became quite difficult. But people, I think, have gotten used to it. There's more cash in the system. The government has also started putting more money into the system. So we are actually seeing that, freight utilization is getting much better than it was in the previous quarter. So we are, and we have also seen that the demand for trucks in the month of January seems to be a lot stronger than it was in the early part of December. Of course, if you look at the trucking, our MHCV industry, most of the volumes happen in the last 2 to 3 days. So we really have to wait and watch as I am speaking to you over the next 2-3 days in January as to how the month is going to pan out. But our feel that we're getting from the ground is that people have gotten a little used to, the cash deficit that was there in the system. More cash has come into it. So there's a much better demand. I think things are becoming a little stable than it was in Q3.
Okay. How has the market share shaped up for you? What is the market share this quarter, and has there been an improvement?
Like I mentioned to you, it has been a pretty good quarter for Leyland. The industry actually degrew, the MHCV industry actually degrew by about 3% in volumes, and Ashok Leyland posted a growth of about 8%. So we have actually seen a 3% rise in market share. Our market share in the current quarter is close to 34%.
Oh, that's fairly positive then, but are you expecting market share to improve even further?
See, what we look at in Leyland, as I've shared with you earlier, is certainly growth. Market share is just one measure of this. How efficiently are we able to win customers better than competition? But that's not the absolute number on which we, keep track of our performance. I mean, that's one of the matrices. The more important matrix is, are we able to grow profitably? That becomes very important. If you look at it, I believe this is the 8th straight quarter where we have had double-digit EBITDA margins. We continue to be the most profitable commercial vehicle manufacturer in the country today. We are delivering double-digit EBITDA margins, and believe me, there's a whole bunch of effort that the entire team at Ashok Leyland is putting in. On cost, on distribution, on customer relations, on putting in new products, building the network. So, there's a whole bunch of effort that is actually getting in to post this double-digit growth. And we hope to continue that, but a lot of this is going to depend on the way the industry grows in the new financial year.
Okay. Any more price hikes that you can afford to pass on this increased raw material costs?
See, we'll have to wait and watch. We are not really happy raising prices, but at the same time, we'll have to ensure that if there is a significant surge in raw material price as it's happening, steel prices are actually going through the roof. So then we have, and that's going up because of coking coal prices going up. So we had no other option but to actually move the prices up. And we possibly are the only manufacturer who has actually done it, quite significantly. We do not want to keep raising prices every month, but if if the input prices do go up, unfortunately, we'll have no other choice.
Well, Mr. Mahadevan, I think the street likes what you're talking about. The stock is up close to around 5.5%. But just to wrap this up, can you say with a fair degree of certainty that the worst of demonetization is behind us?
I hope so. I believe so, because I think definitely there has been an impact, but we are also waiting to see the positive effect of all of this. If a lot of the transactions do get into the banking system, things are going to become much more efficient. So I hope that there are better days for the economy. I think the implementation of GST is also eagerly awaited. And even in the trucking industry, if you were to look at it, there are measures that will happen which will harbor well for the industry. If you look at it, to move to rated load, the investment that are being done in infrastructure, especially in roads, will make the trucking industry even more competitive. We are looking at new generation trucks coming in, and then of course the Euro 4 implementation. I think there's a lot of excitement in this space, and let's hope that the economy also keeps pace with this excitement and delivers its promise.
Okay, all the best, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. That's the word from Ashok Leyland. The stock is clearly excited post the management speak, now up close to about 5.5%. The management is expecting, the volume growth to pick up in Q4 because of pre-buying. Remember,